In 1860, French naturalist Henri Mouhot was exploring the Cambodian jungle in search of exotic insects when he unexpectedly discovered a vast complex of stone temples, the remarkable remnants of Angkor Wat, a 900-year-old architectural marvel. This discovery raised intriguing questions. Who built these sophisticated temples, and why were they constructed deep in the jungle only to be abandoned? Initially, there were no clear answers. However, an extraordinary eyewitness account from the 13th century emerged in China, describing Angkor as a magnificent citadel inhabited by prosperous residents. Skepticism lingered due to the limited evidence available, yet modern science has begun to uncover unexpected proof. Archaeologists are employing advanced techniques to unravel the mysteries of Angkor, with radar images from space revealing that the site was much larger than previously imagined, a sprawling city comparable in size to London. Today, scientists recognize that Angkor Wat was merely a small part of one of the world's largest and most intricate urban centers. Angkor Wat, a true enigma, surpasses any cathedral in size and grandeur. Its lotus-shaped towers were constructed a century before the Cathedral of Chartres in France. The layout of the buildings is vast, with stone shrines ascending toward the heavens, and the extensive corridors feature the longest relief carvings in the world. The precision of the construction would be challenging to replicate even with modern surveying technology. Archaeologist Charles Hyam has dedicated his research to understanding Angkor and its inhabitants, the Khmer people. He notes, "We are standing in the world's largest religious monument. It's absolutely gigantic." Angkor Wat served as the mausoleum for one of Angkor's greatest kings, Suryavarman II. Upon his death, his ashes were interred beneath the heart of the central lotus flower. The name Angkor Wat translates to Holy Temple, symbolizing the vast square moat that represents the ocean surrounding Mount Meru, the legendary abode of Hindu gods. When Mouhot discovered Angkor in 1860, he remarked that one of the temples rivaled those of Solomon and could stand alongside Europe's finest buildings. He suspected that Angkor was the product of a vast and sophisticated civilization, yet he lacked concrete evidence. Located in the northwest floodplains of Cambodia, just above the Great Lake, Angkor Wat was surrounded by a handful of Buddhist monks and local villagers who knew little about the site's origins. Legend suggested that the Great Temple had built itself or had always existed. The publication of Mouhot's journal generated immense interest in Europe, prompting explorers, photographers, and archaeologists to travel eastward to uncover the mysteries of this lost world. Tragically, Mouhot's quest ended abruptly when he succumbed to a poisonous insect bite just a year after his discovery. As early explorers cleared the jungle, they uncovered more temples adorned with intricate carvings that depicted the legends of an ancient culture and its religion. The sandstone reliefs were painstakingly carved in situ, taking artists decades to complete. Inscriptions in both an ancient Cambodian language and Sanskrit, the sacred language of Hinduism, offered tantalizing clues. A significant breakthrough occurred when French scholar Georges Sadez translated the complete corpus of Angkorian inscriptions into 7 volumes, gradually revealing the internal history of Angkor. These translations disclose that for 6 centuries, Angkor served as the capital of the Khmer, the indigenous people of Cambodia. Between the 9th and 15th centuries, 38 kings ruled the empire from Angkor, which extended from southern Vietnam to Laos and from the Mekong River to eastern Burma. An astonishing discovery came when junior Chinese official Zhou Daguan visited Angkor in 1296 during a diplomatic mission. His journal described a major civilization, a capital far larger and more advanced than archaeologists had previously imagined. Questions arose regarding the accuracy of Zhou's account, leading archaeologists to search for evidence supporting his observations. As they pieced together this complex puzzle, a fuller picture emerged. For centuries, the Khmer people cultivated rice fields in the jungle. These farmers were largely self-sufficient and peaceful, but small feuding kingdoms began to emerge by the 1st century AD. In the 8th century, a great leader abandoned his eastern homeland and led his subjects across the Mekong River to establish a new sacred capital. In 802 AD, he crowned himself Jayavarman, the supreme world emperor, and became a deity in the eyes of his people. Over the next 5 centuries, Jayavarman's descendants revered as living gods, continued to reign in Angkor. Each king constructed a monument to his glory, which would serve as his mausoleum. Since the 2nd century AD, the Khmers had practiced Hinduism, and each royal temple was modeled after the 5 peaks of Mount Meru, the home of the Indian gods. For their builders, these shrines celebrated religion, art, science, and power. Throughout the first half of the 20th century, Cambodia was part of France's colonial empire, and French archaeologists played a crucial role in restoring Angkor. Upon their arrival, they found the site in disarray, with stones scattered everywhere. They dedicated significant resources to the reconstruction of the temples. In the 1960s, eminent archaeologist Bernard-Philippe Royer likened Angkor to a city where one could find Versailles, the Place de la Concorde, and the Louvre, surrounded by cathedrals such as Notre Dame and Chartres. Despite the advances made since Muho's discovery, little was known about the culture that created these remarkable monuments. In the 1970s, the Khmer Rouge regime under Pol Pot halted all work at Angkor, laying landmines around the site and rendering it inaccessible for years. Now, with stability returning to Cambodia, archaeological work has resumed, and Angkor has World Heritage Site protection, supported by funding from a dozen countries. The perfectly square wall, like Angkor Wat, is surrounded by a moat and covers an area comparable to Manhattan Island. At its center is the Bayon Temple. Zhou Daguan describes a bustling city, teeming with life. Archaeologists are now seeking evidence to confirm that this is the grand metropolis he depicted. However, much of the evidence has been concealed by dense forest. In recent years, archaeologist Jacques Gaucher has begun excavating the interior of the walled city. Initially, little was known due to the forest cover, with only the stone temples and the foundations of a royal palace remaining visible. After 2 years of challenging research, Gaucher has started to build a clearer picture of the city, mapping thousands of coordinates to trace an intricate grid of canals and roads, along with the locations of numerous wooden houses. When Muhat discovered Angkor Wat, he suspected it was part of a larger city. Zhou Daguan's journal hinted at a political and religious citadel, which archaeologists are now uncovering. Angkor was a capital far larger and more advanced than any contemporary European city. Gaucher's findings validate Zhou Daguan's account, revealing that the monuments he described were indeed significant. These are the monuments that have caused merchants from abroad to speak of Cambodia as rich and noble, Zhou noted, highlighting the wealth in gold, ivory, and other precious resources that were abundant in the region. From inscriptions, archaeologists know that Angkor Thom was built nearly a century before Zhou's arrival by the Khmer's greatest king, Jayavarman VII, who ruled from 1181 to 1219. Known as the Great Builder King, he expanded the empire further than any other Khmer monarch. Within the city walls, he constructed a palace for his vast empire, featuring impressive lintels and columns adorned with carved and painted Buddhas. Gaucher's excavations of the royal palace align with Zhou's account. Evidence suggests it was a large area with interconnected buildings and massive supporting columns. Zhou describes his audiences with the king, who would appear with his chief wife in the main audience hall. The king's authority was deeply respected, as Zhou noted. These people know what is due a king. The king's power extended to a complex social hierarchy, with ministers, generals, and various officials beneath him. Zhou's writings reveal that the king had 5 wives and a harem of 3,000 women. He was seldom seen outside the palace, but Zhou describes a grand New Year festival where rockets were fired and firecrackers shook the city. While the exact population of Angkor remains unclear, inscriptions in temples like Ta Prohm provide valuable insights. Zhou estimated that the temple housed at least 12,000 people, including priests and dancers. If one temple had such a population, the overall population of Angkor could have ranged from 80,000 to 150,000, far exceeding that of contemporary London, which had about 30,000 residents. Recent discoveries confirm that Mohat's suspicions and Zhou Daguan's claims were accurate. Angkor Thom was indeed a large, well-structured city with a significant population. Furthermore, evidence suggests that the jungle conceals an even more extensive metropolis, detectable only from space. In 1994, archaeologists enlisted NASA to conduct a unique mission using specialized radar capable of penetrating vegetation. This project aimed to explore Angkor as the Space Shuttle Endeavour flew over Southeast Asia. The resulting images revealed an area 100 kilometers long and 10 kilometers wide, providing a comprehensive view of the ancient city's infrastructure. The radar images showed that Angkor was a sprawling metropolis comparable in size to modern-day London, with a well-organized layout of canals and roads. For archaeologist Elizabeth Moore, this was a groundbreaking revelation. At first, people said we wouldn't find anything new at Angkor, but we have. The radar also unveiled previously unknown temples throughout the Angkorian Basin and highlighted the intricate network of roads and canals leading to the walled city. This grid plan illustrated the sophistication with which the Khmer manipulated their environment, a feat unparalleled in Southeast Asia. Now, archaeologists face the challenge of correlating the radar findings with on-the-ground evidence. Archaeologist Christophe Poitier is using the radar images to trace the layout of ancient Angkor, discovering thousands of temple sites that likely house small communities. These findings indicate a direct relationship between these villages and the royal capital. As Poitier and his Cambodian assistant Thin Chenda locate previously unrecorded ruins, they uncover the remnants of a Garuda, a mythical creature, and other sculptures. Such temples would have served as the centers of villages with populations ranging from 100 to 300 people. The evidence suggests that the number of temple sites in the region runs into the thousands, indicating a vast population interconnected with the royal capital. Inscriptional evidence supports the idea that 80,000 people from 3,000 villages supplied the goods necessary to maintain the city. A complex network of roads facilitated the transport of produce and resources to the center. The Khmer's remarkable infrastructure was evident in the roads and rest houses built for pilgrims traveling to visit the temples. During its peak, Angkor was a thriving metropolis, but it faced challenges as well. The Khmer people cultivated rice and relied on an intricate water management system to support their growing population. The Great Lake provided a vital water supply, especially during the monsoon season when it expanded significantly. Rice cultivation was essential for sustaining the population, and the Khmer cleared vast areas of jungle for agriculture. Despite their achievements, the Khmer faced challenges that could lead to the decline of Angkor. The intricate water management system was fragile, and neglect could lead to sediment buildup and system failures. Additionally, deforestation for agricultural expansion likely contributed to ecological instability. By the end of the 13th century, Angkor reached its peak, only to face a series of challenges that would lead to its decline. In 1431, the Thais invaded Angkor, looting and enslaving much of the population. The city was abandoned, slowly reclaimed by the jungle. For 400 years, Angkor lay in ruins until its rediscovery by Henri Mouhot. Today, Angkor is celebrated as a wonder of the world, and archaeological efforts continue to reveal its secrets. The once lost metropolis is gradually re-emerging, showcasing the incredible achievements of a civilization that dominated Southeast Asia for centuries. Angkor stands as a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of the Khmer people, one of the greatest cities the world has ever known. Angkor's mysteries continue to inspire awe and curiosity. What do you find most fascinating about this ancient city? The intricate carvings, the massive water management system, or the sheer scale of its temples? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into the past.